My name is Josh Albrecht, and I used to talk about sports on the radio for a few minutes when I had the opportunity. And I realized that I still wanted to do that because I'm an emotional sports fan, and I wanted to be able to continue telling people how I feel and telling everyone that wants me to feel a certain way about sports teams, hey, don't tell me how to fan. And so I started this podcast with my good friend, John Taylor. John, how we doing?
I'm doing well could be, seeing as how our world was rocked last night in Sao Paulo, Brazil, of all places.
Very true. So John and I went to high school together. We've been friends for a long time. John is also a huge sports fan, and you also don't live anymore in the state of Wisconsin.
Yes, that's correct. I'm out on the West Coast in Portland, Oregon. I love Wisconsin. I love their sports teams, but I had to get out, so I did.
And even though you were 2 hours behind, we were all watching the same game live last night as the Packers lost to the Eagles. And the game for me was rather frustrating, and we'll get into the you know pieces of it. But 5 seconds left in the game, Jordan Love goes down with an injury, and all of a sudden, all of the notes didn't matter.
Right out
All
the
of the
window.
thoughts about,
Yep.
oh man, I'm so mad. I mean, I was talking with some of our mutual friends and saying, oh, this is so sad that this team comes out with this type of performance. They had an opportunity in this game and they pissed it away. And then you just crumple up that piece of paper and you go, oh my God, Jordan Love's injured. Nothing else matters.
Nothing else matters. He went down, and I started questioning my own life.
Yes.
Where,
Yes. Why
did I not do enough as a fan? Did I,
you should have done more, John.
Should I have went on a longer walk today?
Probably
better. That's the kind of stuff that starts spiraling.
I know that this is like, all right, calm down. But why does this stuff happen to us? The amount of graphics that I've seen already with like the pictures of Giannis and him being helped off the court side by side with now Jordan Love. And I'm like, oh, this is brutal. And here's the other image that popped into my mind that I almost didn't want to say out loud. But there were a
real
lot
quick.
Of
you don't have to say it, just for the record. If you,
yeah, I'm gonna
whatever.
Say it.
All right, fair enough.
There were a lot of Packers fans when Aaron Rodgers went down in Week 1 last year for the Jets that were like,
yeah.
And now here,
well, I think the biggest difference is that Aaron Rodgers is old and insane.
But the point is, it was a crazy injury, right? It was you got to be kidding me. Is this really happening in Week 1? Now he didn't even get a pass off, but either way, it was the season's done for the Jets. It was the season's done.
Yep.
Obviously, at the time of this podcast that we're recording this, it's the morning after the game. Everyone's been doom scrolling all night on Twitter looking for updates from this person, that person. Yeah. The most we know at this point is what?
As of right now, the most up-to-date report I could find was by Diana Rossini. She tweeted about 45 minutes ago, when the Packers land, Jordan Love will get an MRI. I'm told an ankle injury has been ruled out at this point. Right now, it's just a wait and see for more information on the injury. So to dive into that a little bit more, I went the way of I skipped a lot of the weird cross sports photoshops, and I went straight to the Twitter doctors. That's right.
Perfect. You can always rely on the Twitter
people
doctor.
Who are medically trained and just as far away from the field as I am. I mean, there's a wide range of things. A lot of them reported pretty quickly. It could be a sprain, could be an MCL, ACL issue. Whenever they talk about the pop that you experience, and
which everyone saw broken down frame by frame.
Yeah, like the Zapruder film. It is. Yes. It is extensive to say the least. Yeah. It's not good. It's not good. As Packers fans, I think we have to hope that it's more in the Patrick Mahomes side of knee injuries. He had that nasty injury. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but he was only out 2 weeks, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
If it's an MCL tear, I mean, we got to start having a very different conversation, which, I don't know if we want to go into. I think
we do. So this is what I want to, therapeutic for me as a fan. Okay.
Gotcha.
I want to play this out. I want to play out the options. I don't like this. Well, let's keep analyzing what it could be. We know it's going to be what, 3 situations. Either we know he's not playing next week, right? So
Yeah, that seems the least likely.
correct. So
Given the
let's
situation.
go, 2 weeks. If he's out that magical 2 weeks somehow, we're all taking a deep sigh and going deep breath and going, okay, this is amazing that this is all it is. We'll sacrifice those 2 games and then look at the rest of the season. If it's season ending, right, the other extreme, then we're looking at this and going, well, that's the season, right? Is anyone holding on to hope that if Jordan Love's not our quarterback, the Packers are going to go get someone else, or there's anything? See, I'm putting that to rest because of the rest of the division. This isn't a time to where you could win this division with, a 500 record. Like, it's not going to be that type of season. So I just don't, even if you got a mediocre quarterback somehow, you traded picks, something to get a guy, it doesn't matter. It's just, you needed to have that home run hitter, and that's where it is. So that's how I'm looking at for the 2 ends of the spectrum, bringing it in to the 4 to 8 week mark, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
What are your feelings, John, on what this team does and can do if that's where he's at?
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up, right? So if you look at the next 3 weeks, we've got Colts, Titans, Vikings. Those are winnable games without Jordan Love. Do I wish?
Are they?
Do I wish? Yes, I think they are. Do I wish Malik Willis would have been brought in sooner? Yes. Do I wish that maybe they would have waited for the Browns to cut 17 quarterbacks that all have played meaningful games? Sure. But this is the world we're in. I mean, none of these quarterbacks, I keep seeing go get Tannehill, keep seeing go get Flacco, which is hilarious because I don't think people realize he's on an NFL roster that he chose to sign with. He's not available.
They could still go get him.
Sure. I mean, but why would you waste draft capital on a guy? Anyways,
there's a point to that. You waste that because if you think you need a guy to carry you when if your guy's going to be out 6 games and you think you can waste a draft pick to get 3 wins in those 6 games, then your guy comes back, you're saving the season.
Yeah. Let's say 6 games. I truly believe that the Packers could scheme around a Malik Willis start and still win. I really, really do. Matt LeFleur is that good. I think some of the things I didn't like about last night were Matt really took his hands off the game plan in the first half. It felt like a lot of hey, we are going to go let Jordan Love wheel and deal. We paid him all this money. We got Josh Jacobs. Let's just let him run straight at the line and let's see what he can do. And the answer was not a ton. When we started introducing gadget plays, getting the ball to the skill positions faster, mostly Jaden Reed. The team is very, very talented. Going back into the training camp portion of it, on the final 53-man roster, I think there was something like, how many players were actually claimed off of signed to teams, and I think it was 6 or 7, maybe it was more. Either way, 3 of them were Packers. That's absurd. The last time the Packers had a guy signed off their team was, I think, it was over 20 years ago. So I just say, that only happens when you have a very talented roster. Say what you want about where we stand without Jordan Love. Say what you want about the performance last night. Everybody widely agreed that this roster is very, very talented. And as such, I think you bring in a guy like Malik Willis because he has a tool set that you think you can use. I think the team's going to look a lot different without Jordan Love. I mean, Malik is way more willing to scramble. I'm more willing to put faith and give it a shot over the next week or 2 to see how it goes because he's already in the building. I mean, you already put in the capital. I mean,
so you don't think that the Packers are going to go look for someone else and that they had Malik Willis as this is a simple, we might as well do this now, get a guy back up.
If it's more than the 4 to 6 week range, I think they should go get somebody. I'm saying we are right now in week 1. Yeah, that's
because if it's more than 4 to 6 weeks, then I understand that they can't fold the season, right? Teams can't do that. But then you might as well just ride it out with the guy. Is there anyone out there that the Packers are really going to be able to get that's going to save the entire season with
Well,
Jordan Love never coming back? I don't
yeah,
think so.
I mean, Tannehill seems like he also went on Diana Rossini's new podcast, and he flat out said, "I'm a hired gun. Teams are interested. I'm not interested in really playing backup, and I would like to see what the season looks like, and I want to sign with the team." And so he's somebody. I mean, we're talking about former Pro Bowl player Tyler Huntley. I don't believe he was signed anywhere. I mean, I could be wrong, but there are more talented quarterbacks available than what we have on the roster right now. I mean, all things being equal, Goody clearly thought that Malik Willis was an interesting prospect. He definitely thought he was better than Michael Pratt and Sean Clifford, which I think is totally fair. So I don't know. I guess in my head, this injury happened 6 weeks from now. Malik is like fully, integrated. I would feel way better about it then. Like he's going to have to start with the shortest amount of time coming in, and that is a problem to me. That is not lost on me.
It's gonna be rough. So, and like we mentioned, by the time that a lot of people might be seeing this, there might be more news about Jordan Love and what is going to happen next. And so then we move on from that. Let's talk about last night, because you talked about Matt LeFleur and kind of what he did in the game and how he changed the mindset in that game. When I watched week 1 of the Packers against the Eagles, I saw penalties, missed opportunities, dumb mistakes. Those 3 things. The biggest one for me was the dumb mistakes. It seemed like, and you can put the blame wherever you want, right? Some people don't want to put it on the coach, they want to put it on the players. It's hard to know for sure, right? Because LeFleur can say, I'm mad at my guys because we had a plan and they didn't go out there and execute. But I kind of look at it and I go, you're the coach. Your job is to have your players ready to execute, running these plays until they puke.
Yep.
Because so that they're literally burned into their memory. And so many dumb mistakes. I'm going, we can't be doing this week 1 already. We're going to suffer through this.
Well, the problem is with the Matt LeFleur area, it is really frustrating. There's not much bright spots on this topic because we are 1-3 in the MLF era here in week 1. I think people really were hoping that when, Aaron Rodgers left the team, we would see more active players participating in training camp, in preseason. And I just don't feel like it. I feel like the mentality is still, well, we know what we got in our guys, so we're going to test out everybody else. But I think this coaching staff fundamentally misses the point that players need reps, game reps, to get into game shape. This team looked beyond rusty. Even the players that did play in the offseason or preseason, you're still talking about players who didn't play with Jordan Love except for 3 snaps maybe. You're talking about a Zach Tom who missed the first game. You're talking about players that missed most of the training camp in practicing. It's just you allow the team to miss so much that why would you ever expect everything to just glob together and come together so quickly? And I think when Matt LeFleur blames the coaching staff, that's the blame. If the Kansas City Chiefs are okay playing their guys in the preseason, I don't know why all 31 other teams don't do it. They are the gold standard in football right now. If they win another Super Bowl, they're going to do something that no football team has ever done. Like Andy Reid is reaching top 5 head coach of all time territory if he's not there already.
Agreed.
So, we don't have to litigate everything. I just my point is, it is really frustrating. And how many lackluster games are we going to open the season with before they start taking the ramp up period more seriously? Because Jordan Love still got hurt.
Right.
Maybe Jordan Love doesn't get hurt if he isn't going all out for the first time.
I don't want to put that, because those are still like fluke. That's a fluke hit. It doesn't. I don't know that if you've played in 5 games leading up to it, you get hit like that, your body's still going to do what it did. But looking at what happened in the first quarter, just analyzing the first quarter of that game, okay, you have the defense comes out hot, right? They're that first pick by McKinney. Oh, was I horny at
Oh
that
yeah.
point? I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't just the fact that, Xavier McKinney, our new boy, our new shiny toy, comes out and gets this interception. It's that there was pressure on Hurts. They forced the pass. Boom. It was everything came together. And then you get the offense out there right away, penalty, move you back. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And like dumb mistakes as well. O-line, missing blocks, missed communication, just really tough stuff. Everyone at that point was like, well, it's the field. Everyone's slipping on the field. Well, they figured that out. And then we learned that the turf was the same turf that's used or comparable in both Lincoln Financial Field and Lambeau. So it's like, okay, take that argument out.
Yeah.
And I understand cleats change, whatever, that doesn't matter. But looking at not just that one, but then the second one where the Eagles center fumbles a snap, we land on it. We had 2 drives in starting in, I know it was within the red zone. Was it? I think it was even closer, like
so
15, 10.
Yeah. At the McKinney interception, we got the ball at the Philly 19.
Okay.
No, that's not the interception. My apologies. That's the field goal. Yeah, the second one we started the ball at
I know it was within
at the 13.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And so and you saw when the Eagles had that opportunity, right? Jordan Love throws that interception, which was a terrible decision. He also did not have a great night, but they took advantage of it. They find a way to get in the end zone. That's a scary thing to me, seeing the difference between two teams when all I've been hearing is the Packers are a Super Bowl contending team. Obviously, all this changes with Jordan Love, but I'm saying at this time, Jordan Love's still in the game. He's healthy. And I'm seeing the difference between these two teams when they have opportunities to score. This is not, when you're playing the Eagles specifically, you cannot walk away with 2 field goals in that situation and feel good about the fact that you're up 6-0.
Yeah. I mean,
imagine if they have that cushion. Imagine if they score there, changes the whole outcome of the game, the whole way the game is played, because you have padding. Instead of it being a back and forth, now the Packers are up, now the Eagles are up, now the Packers are up. Even when the Eagles score, they're still down 5. It gives an opportunity for the Packers to completely change things. And the sloppy play ruined all of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really hard to win a football game where you don't give up a touchdown until the second quarter, and you're still down by 1 point.
Right.
I think in those first 2 drives, I mean, the 2 big drives I keep referring to are when we got the interception and then the fumble recovery. I think we saw, this is my point before, in that interception, you see short passes to the flats. Josh Jacobs immediately gets tackled right away after a Jalen Carter unnecessary roughness penalty. So I mean, at one point, two of the Eagles had 2 penalties. They were both on Jalen Carter for unsportsmanlike conduct. So take that for what you will. But line of scrimmage toss to Luke Musgrave, lose a yard. Incomplete pass to Dontavian Wicks. Pass to the flat to Jacobs. He gets out to 9 yards. End up having to kick a field goal. After that field goal or the fumble recovery, you're talking about the same thing. Just much to do about nothing. Jordan Love incomplete left to Christian Watson. Penalty on Romeo Doubs. I think that that penalty felt a little ticky-tacky.
There were definitely some ticky-tacky.
Yeah, they were within the 1 yard line, but guess what? At the end of the day, Christian Watson, you got to catch that ball and make the refs think twice about it. Do I think the flag gets thrown either way? But at the end of the day, Christian Watson, it's the same thing. You could tell they really wanted to get him the ball in those first 3 or 4 drives. They really wanted to show, hey, Christian's back. Hey, Josh Jacobs is back. And do I think it's like, hey, we want to show that because there's been all these questions about who these guys are as players? Probably not. I think there's a reason why they want to get Christian Watson the ball. He is, when he's healthy, a scary prospect. The issue is that it has not translated on the field. And last night was another great example of a guy who still is not making plays. I think he was very lazy about going to get some balls. I think there was some effort stuff that wasn't there. I think it forces Jordan to really kind of look his way a lot more than you'd like, which is a problem. He had a couple nice passes late in the game. I mean, I don't want to completely pile on the guy, but I just think like it just seemed very obvious to me that the play calling was focused and narrowed on getting specific players the balls because they thought they were their playmakers.
And one of those people, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about Josh Jacobs for a second.
Yeah.
Between him and Aaron Jones, I said, well, I want Aaron Jones. I got a lot of homer takes. He gets injured. He's injury prone. He's older. Josh Jacobs is the guy. Go with him. Okay. Didn't see a lot of Josh Jacobs. We didn't see him in camp a whole lot. Comes out. Didn't look good at all in the beginning. A lot of people bringing it up to, the turf issues, whatever. But then you saw Emmanuel Wilson, and when he's in, he's having great strides, and you're going, okay. So what's the difference here? Obviously, they're different types of backs, different types of plays. I get that, but not what I wanted to see out of Josh Jacobs.
Correct. I would agree with you 100%. In the first half, you're talking about a guy who had 6 rushing attempts for a grand total of 4 yards. Bad, not great. I'm not going to tell anyone how to fan. I'll tell you that much. But me personally was thinking, oh man, did we really just let Aaron Jones walk? I had a lot of. I did have a lot. Well, so that. But then I also had a lot of thoughts of, man, is Aaron Jones so talented that he makes our bad offensive line look decent or tolerable? The Packers have.
But no one was talking about the offensive line being bad. That was a concern.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about it. I think Aaron Jones was a dynamic enough runner that he really put a Band-Aid on a pretty bad run blocking offense. They're not great. They really aren't. They're an excellent pass blocking offensive line.
Okay, there you go.
And I think if you hadn't thought about it, last night's first half was a great example. Like, these dudes do not move bodies. They are not barreling, get downfield maulers. I mean, just look at the Eagles' offensive line. Oh man, you want to talk about guys who get downfield and get. But anyways, but yeah, not great. I'll say that much. I did not feel good about the first half of Josh Jacobs. I will say the second half flipped me right back around 180. I'm glad we picked him over Aaron Jones. He's going to get the
really.
Well, no. I'm being a little hyperbolic.
Okay.
I'm being a little hyperbolic.
Really?
I will say this. Second half, 10 attempts for 80 yards. And what he did show you was things that you saw in the 2022 season when he won the rushing title. I think last night, Josh Jacobs had 2 attempts over 10 plus yards rushing. I mean, he gashed them a few different plays. Guess how many he had total last year with the Raiders?
I mean, based on the fact that you're asking this, I'm going to say not many.
Yeah, we were talking about 9.
Okay.
So he already had over 20% of what he already did. So
in one half of football.
In one half football. I mean, really, the dude is way bigger. Like, physically, he's more imposing. I like his burst. I mean, he looks good in the 2-minute drill, goal line's 3 minutes. But I just think if you think you're going to stack him up in the I formation and give him the ball like he's Saquon Barkley, then you should have thrown a lot more money at Saquon Barkley, because he's just not that guy. And I think Saquon proved last night when he's healthy, there's only one Saquon. Yeah. So
let's talk about my new favorite player on the team, established, Jaden Reed.
Yeah.
Man, do I love the feeling of whether it was, catching punts or catching passes, just feeling that confidence that the dude's going to hold on to the ball. And he was there, he caught the ball, and he went. As much as we want to focus on the touchdowns, which were great, obviously, the second time he caught a punt, and on these slippery field turf conditions, he still caught it in kind of like a turning motion. And I was felt this anxiety of, oh my God, please don't drop it. Because I felt like that's what I've been used to the last couple of years of worrying about that from who's in the backfield. And it's just like, I'm just like, I like Reed's hands. I like that I don't have to worry about that. And I love that Jordan Love has him. He was my bright spot
Yeah.
of the game.
Yeah. I mean, he brought the offense to life. I mean, you saw a real quick change in how they were trying to drive the ball downfield. You could tell they thought that they were going to be able to exploit a pretty mediocre linebacking core of the Eagles. And there's some questions about, there are some questions about their secondary. I mean, Darius Slay and Gardner Johnson, they're great players, but when you talk about the depth of the wide receivers, you're talking about who's going to guard, Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed. And when you talk about our 3 and 4 guys, and I think they showed it. I mean, when they got Jaden Reed matched up against a linebacker, I mean, it was game over. You know, I mean, that first play was an end and around to the right side. I mean, he took the ball behind the line of scrimmage and rushed it for, what was that, a 30? I don't even remember.
Something. It was over 30. Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, what enough can't be said about the drafting of Jaden Reed. He is a special talent. He is our wide receiver 1. He's a slot guy. But in today's offense, who cares what the X is? It does. I mean, it's just not important anymore. There's too much emphasis on offense. Passing's too important. It got to a point I was even looking at late game. They're optioning Jaden Reed in the backfield motion just to get eyes on him. They were terrified Jaden Reed was going to spring another one.
And why wouldn't they be?
Yeah. Josh Jacobs takes a ball, cuts left on the left side of the line, gets, I think, 8 yards, first down, either way. I mean, that's the kind of stuff Matt LeFleur does really well, and that's stacking plays, disguising looks, all of that. But, man, Jaden Reed is a special talent, and it's a shame that the game is going to get forgotten about because of Jordan Love's injury and all the sloppiness. But, I mean, for a guy who had a really quiet training camp, in terms of, like, the blogosphere, the pundits, the beats, everyone was saying pretty quiet stuff from Jaden Reed. And it's like, I'm starting to feel like it was on purpose. I'm starting to be a good thing. Jaden Reed is a Ferrari that you take out on the open road. And so, these preseason games, you're not showing much. Well, all the flashy stuff is going to go through Jaden Reed. It's pretty obvious, And that opens stuff up for everybody else too. All of a sudden Christian Watson had a little more room to operate when people were scared of what Jaden Reed was going to do. But, I just hope that they keep using him in exciting, interesting ways. If Jordan Love is hurt, getting the ball downfield is going to be challenging. So Jaden Reed's going to have a super challenging time getting the ball out in space. So let's figure out ways to get him closer to the line of scrimmage. Yep, we gotta stay creative. I mean, really, like I really did like a lot of those calls. So.
And then as we're moving along here, let's also talk about the defense. A lot of hype for the defense coming into the season. Obviously, first quarter, right? You see the interception, the fumble recovery, great. Turnovers are always good. Then you look at the final score, and you're like, okay, well, they still gave up, over 30 points. Thoughts on Packers defense through week 1?
Thoughts on Packers defense through week 1. All right, here's my thoughts. I think, 1, this is the Eagles were a terrible opponent to unveil a brand new press man cover 1 super aggressive defense, because if you really look at what their wide receivers do well, it's beat man coverage and then go over the top. As much as we don't want to say Joe Barry's name out loud or Mike Pettin, a cover 2 shell probably would have made a lot of sense against these guys. Yeah. And I think Joe Hafley was very apparent. He said, we're going to live and die by our plays. So I'll take it. It's modern NFL. Teams are going to put up this many points. The Packers can hang this many on anybody as well. I think a few large picture things. I wish the interior of the defensive line created more pressure up front. In a lot of these like Fangio schemes, even though technically he's like running it from like the Robert Saleh tree of it, however you want to fracture off those. Our middle linebackers aren't great. They're just not, especially when Edgerrin Cooper isn't playing. Quay Walker is fine. Isaiah McDuffie is passable. So you really need to be getting pressure on the quarterback. And I just think I think I wish Kenny Clark would have had a bigger presence in the game. TJ Sladen, Carl Brooks, all of these guys. I just think they need to disrupt Jalen Hurts' ability to drive the ball downfield.
And they didn't have awful games.
Yeah.
I feel like for a while it's been a very just mediocre attempt on the D line. It's not threatening pressure. It's like there's pressure, but it's not, man, that annoying, constantly in your face, forcing the quarterback to have to change what they want to do pressure. And is that something that can change and become consistent with this D line? I don't know.
I mean, you hope so, right? I mean, Rashawn Gary looked fantastic. LVN, Preston Smith, even JJ Enagbari, like they all looked good. But I think so much of it comes down to what kind of pressure can you get from the interior. That was the most exploitable part of the Eagles line, and I wish they would have done more. That's the other half of this. Like, you just maybe one of the greatest centers of all time just retired. They've got a rookie anchoring that. A couple fumbles were from sloppy play. Like, how do you just got to find ways to punish that guy more? I mean, I just don't know if they did. It all comes back to the coaching stuff too.
Yep.
Joe Barry showed us absolutely nothing. He showed zero things in the preseason, which is awesome because that means teams can't game plan against it. But the other problem is that you have no info. Not Joe Barry. My apologies. Jeff Hafley. Correct.
That's okay.
I've been cursing his name for so many years.
Yes.
Jeff Hafley didn't show you much in the preseason, and so we don't know either. I think the players. So defense always takes time. That's the other thing too. It's like everybody's saying like, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. I absolutely drank the Kool-Aid. I was like, these guys are hungry. They know what to do. They had somebody, holding them back, and that's why. But I thought play was bad too. I mean, Jair Alexander, for as great as he is, I think that
he got burnt.
He got burnt a couple times. I think Stokes looked better than he seems to be returning to form a bit more than I expected.
But there was also one play where Hurts just trucked over Stokes.
Yeah, I
was like, come on, man.
I mean, that's a problem though when you have a quarterback that squats 500 and you've got Eric Stokes.
I understand.
I just like at the end of the day, like
he's pushing you back 4 yards.
I know it's bad. It's bad. Hey, you're not gonna. You're right. I think there was a lot of missed tackles. I think that I think it comes back to these dudes do not have. This is not their default programming. This scheme, and I think at times you could see them thinking about where they needed to be rather than just being able to pin their ears back and like attack. And I think what's funny is I think in limited playtime you see a guy like Edgerrin Cooper and Javon Bullard, are two rookies, fly to the ball, like visibly fast on tape. There was a play where I think Saquon rolled out left, and I'm telling you, it looked like Javon Bullard shot out of a cannon and closed 20 yards, ran right through it.
I love when they show that speed and you just go, where the hell did that guy come from?
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. Doesn't happen enough though.
Yeah. Same with Edgerrin Cooper. I mean, it's very obvious that he's not playing more because of his injury and getting up to speed, but they got to figure out how to get him up to speed. Because at this point, especially if we're playing more than 2 or 3 games without Jordan Love, go let Edgerrin Cooper make all the mistakes on the field. You know what I mean? Like if these games are going to be tough, like let's get him ready to go because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, But I think by and large, if we're talking about I think the Packers beat themselves more than the Eagles beat us.
I would 100% agree with that. 100%. I mean, you're looking at the numbers of just penalties, missed opportunities, those speak for themselves. Any of those flip, and we're having a different conversation. I mean, the conversation is still the same about Jordan Love, and that will be number one. I also want to point out here as we wrap up for today that this is not just a Packers podcast, right? That's what happened last night. That's the biggest news. That's the biggest sports news in the state of Wisconsin. We are going to be covering the Brewers, Bucks, Badgers, whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll be talking sports and we'll be saying, hey, don't tell me how to fan. I'm going to feel the way that I'm going to feel. But the next time that we talk, John, it is going to be with us knowing the outcome of Jordan Love, and that will determine how we feel as fans going forward the rest of the season.
Yep. Yeah, that injury will really determine how much I want to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers postseason push.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Moving forward, how excited
Well,
I am
of
to
course,
get.
the Brewers also lost yesterday. Like when the two teams
Yeah.
are playing, that's one of the things that you always. Well, at least the Brewers won today. You
Yeah.
know, you couldn't even go that way.
Just
either.
not both, you know?
Ugh.
Yeah. And it was
Oh,
one pitch too. I mean, Montas
yeah.
was pitching so
Ah,
well and got
God.
rocked up by one pitch, you know?
Just
Yeah.
frustrating stuff.
Yeah.
But this has been fun. I'm glad we're doing this. I'm excited for episode 2. We'll find out how many of these we're going to be able to do per week, spit some stuff out. But this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you joining me, pal.
I appreciate you too, Josh. Glad to see you're back at it, talking sports, man. It's always fun to hear your voice and hear your measured, reasonable takes, for sure.
Wow. Thank you. Yes. I appreciate the sarcasm in there.
Yeah.
No, this will be fun. And if you are watching, please like, subscribe, go through all that cheesiness because we are just getting started. We are not done yet.